Hi everybody, look at this footage. These are the drones that Pakistan sent into India.
Pakistan and India exchanged fire across their border overnight. Islamabad launched a military operation into India using missiles. New Delhi responded with reciprocal strikes against targets in Pakistan.
Around 300 to 400 drones flew into 36 locations to attack India. But the biggest surprise wasn't the fact that Pakistan attacked India. It is this. A lot of these drones were Turkish drones. And yes, Turkey has betrayed India.
India thwarted attacks from Turkish drones. In fact, Turkey played a key role in supporting Pakistan's drone operations.
The possible purpose of these large-scale aerial intrusions were to test the AD system and gather intelligence. Forensic examination of the drone debris is being undertaken. Preliminary reports suggest them to be of Aziz Guard Songa drone of Turkey.
Now, honestly, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. Because in 2023, when a massive earthquake tore through Turkey, India sent rescue teams, India sent doctors, India sent food, medical kits and shelters.
Millions of lives shattered, thousands died, hundreds of homes damaged, but hope still alive.
We gave them all this to treat thousands of Turkish survivors who were struggling to live another day.
Really grateful to them because they're the first group, arrived in Iskenderun.
The Euro-Indian group has just arrived and helped us really much, and I felt really alone, but when they come here, I felt they're secure again. Thank you so much for your support.
God bless you, Indian humans. Thank you very much, all the Indians.
And how did Turkey repay us? Well, we sent doctors to save their children. Erdogan sent drones to Pakistan. And these drones came to kill our soldiers. While India stood by Turkey in their darkest hour, Turkey decided to stand with Pakistan.
While openly declaring our support for our brotherly people of Pakistan.
And that's what surprised me the most. Think about it. If you were the president of Turkey, whom would you support during a critical conflict? Would you support a rising superpower that saved you during trouble? Or would you support a bankrupt, violent, terrorist exporting state like Pakistan? Of course you would support India, right? But that's when I found something absolutely crazy. And what I'm about to tell you will hurt you, pain you and scare you. This video is brought to you by Odoo. People, we all know that feeling when our to-do list is exploding, when Slack notifications are constantly pinging, and when deadlines are flying past and you just can't help it. And every time this happens to me, I am always wondering, how the hell am I supposed to manage all this without losing my mind? And trust me guys, I've been exactly where you are. In fact, I still am exactly where you are, and I am losing my mind. Entrepreneurs are consistently buried under stress and they desperately need a smarter way to handle the chaos. And this is where Odoo has come to my rescue, and Odoo can help you out. Odoo is an all-in-one business management app that's basically like your project's personal assistant. Imagine having a clean and completely customizable dashboard that allows you to effortlessly create projects and then easily break them down into manageable tasks and subtasks. With Odoo, you can also assign teammates, add deadlines, and even schedule meetings and reminders all in just one place. And you know what's even cooler? Odoo also provides a Kanban view where you can organize your tasks by stage using a simple drag and drop interface. The Gantt view provides a clear roadmap for managing all your timelines. And if you're someone who loves seeing details at a glance, the list view puts all your data in an organized, easy to scan format. Odoo also lets you tag teammates, attach files, jot down quick notes, and even send emails, all without ever leaving Odoo, so that you can collaborate in real time without making it messy. And the best part is that your first app on Odoo is free for life with unlimited hosting and support. So if you're building a brand, a business, or even a side hustle, Odoo is the tool that upgrades your entire workflow. So try Odoo today. I'll attach the link in the description, and trust me guys, you will wonder, how did you ever live without Odoo? And now on with the episode. Look at this map. This was once the greatest empire on earth, the Ottoman Empire. At its peak in the 16th and 17th centuries, it stretched from Algiers to Baghdad, Budapest to Aden, and from Greece to Mecca. For over 600 years, the Ottoman ruled as a mighty power.
This is the story of a vast and mysterious kingdom.
The Ottoman Empire lasted some 600 years.
The Ottomans offered stability, security, and very often lower taxes.
Which at the pinnacle of its power in the mid-16th century, dominated lands across much of the Middle East, North Africa, and Eastern Europe.
Controlling the sacred cities of Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem, it spanned the reigns of nearly 40 sultans and assembled one of the largest landmasses in history.
From 1517 to 1922, its sultans were also the caliphs. They were spiritual leaders of the Sunni Muslim world, and to millions, they weren't just kings. They were the protectors of identity, pride, and the power of Islam. But in 1922, after the World War I, Ottoman Empire completely collapsed. Syria and Lebanon were torn apart and handed over to France. Iraq, Palestine, and Jordan were taken by Britain. Greece invaded Western Turkey, and Saudi Arabia completely broke away. Eventually, Turkey was reborn as a secular republic under a man named Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. So the Ottoman crown was abolished and the empire was buried forever.
By early in the First World War, 1915, at a time when the Ottoman Empire was shrinking and besieged from all sides, after more than 600 years, the Sultanate of the Ottoman Empire was over.
First President of the First Turkish Republic, Mustafa Kemal, himself christened Ataturk.
On October 19, 1923, the Republic of Turkey became an independent country.
So if you see, it's almost like a great empire being torn apart into pieces by the West. And this is the reason why even today, the Turks have a resentment for what happened to their great Ottoman Empire. But today, there is a man trying to bring the entire Ottoman Empire together. This man is the Turkish president Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And Erdogan isn't just running a country called Turkey. Erdogan is chasing a legacy because he doesn't just intend to be the president of Turkey, he wants to be seen as the psychological leader of Muslims worldwide. And this is where it becomes problematic. If Erdogan has to showcase himself as the leader of the Muslim world, you know what he needs? He needs symbolism. He needs a cause. And most dangerously, Erdogan needs a conflict.
Gazze'de savunma değil, açık ve alçak bir katliam yürütülmektedir. Suriye halkı acıya, zulme ve saldırılarda hayatını kaybeden kardeşlerimize Allah'tan rahmet. We will, God willing, continue to stand by our brotherly people of Pakistan. İsrail Gazze'de sadece Filistinlilere saldırmıyor, bize saldırıyor, bize. İsrail, biz de seni savaş suçlusu olarak dünyaya ilan edeceğiz.
And what did Pakistan do? Pakistan gave Erdogan the perfect opportunity to symbolize his support for Islam. Why? Because Pakistan isn't just another random country. Pakistan is a nuclear-armed Islamic nation. It's always begging the IMF and it's always ready to fight India. So by backing Pakistan, Erdogan practically bought himself a raging Islamic loyalty. The best part is that he got this popularity without firing a single bullet. And what does he get with this popularity? He gets Turkish votes. This is the first side of the dirty war that Turkey is waging because Erdogan wants to win elections with appeasement. But the funny thing is that he wants to do this at the cost of $1 billion friendship with India. Now, most Indians will say, you know what, bro, let's just boycott Turkey. And this movement, by the way, has already begun in India. People have stopped purchasing Turkish products, they've started cancelling their trips, and India is already kicking out Turkish companies.
Boycott! Boycott!
People are cancelling travel plans to Turkey and Azerbaijan. Travel agencies have put a temporary pause on bookings. They're hitting where it hurts.
EaseMyTrip, the second biggest travel app in the country, says they will not allow for bookings to go through to Turkey.
As the second largest travel portal in the country, we decided it is our responsibility to issue travel advisory to people not to travel to Turkey
In a response to Turkey and Azerbaijan's open support for Pakistan, over 125 top trade leaders from across India have resolved to boycott all trade.
जो भी देश हमारे दुश्मन देश का साथ देगा, उसको भारत के किसी भी व्यापारी को उनसे किसी भी तरह का व्यापारिक आदान प्रदान नहीं करना।
But here's the problem. Turkey has something far more dangerous than just carpets or kebabs. You know what they have? They've got this little dangerous weapon called drones. And not just any drones. They have something called swarm drones. For those who don't know, in military warfare, there is a strategy called the asymmetrical aerial warfare. Look at this. This is the Songer drone, a low-cost, high-impact Turkish combat drone. Now, there is no official price for these drones, but reports say that these drones just cost a few $1,000s. And as we all know, a few $1,000s in the military context is practically pocket change. But here's the scary part. These drones don't just attack alone. They move in groups, like swarms, like insects in a dark sky. 3, 6, 9, sometimes even 300 drones at a time. And even if you shoot down 48 out of the 50 drones that come at you, those 2 drones that pass will destroy hundreds of crores worth of defense equipments. And the worst part is that to shoot down one Songer drone, you need a missile that costs 10 to 20 times more. And the last time this type of drone attack happened, it happened in the Russia-Ukraine war. You know what happened? Russia used Iran's Shahed 136 drones, which only cost about $20,000 to $50,000 each. So everybody thought that these drones were a joke. But you know what happened after that? Ukraine used NASAMS missile, which were each worth around $500,000. Now let's do the math. If Russia sends 50 drones, which together cost $1 to $2.5 million, to shoot these drones down, Ukraine would have needed to spend $25 million. If you think about it, that's 10 to 25 times more damage done to the enemy. So in simple words, these drones don't just damage your gear, they bankrupt your defense system. And that is why Turkish drones pose such a terrifying threat to India. Because every time India shoots down a Turkish drone, we lose crores of rupees worth of missiles.
These were the same Turkish drones which were attacking India. They were amongst the 300 to 400 drones.
Drones have changed the landscape of war.
It's like the AK-47 of 21st century warfare.
A single American M1 Abrams tank costs around $10 million. A T-90, which is Russia's most advanced main battle tank, costs just about the same, about $10 million. You compare that to a drone that can be built in a high school laboratory, or it can be built in your godown. A swarm of 1,000 drones, each costing about $1,000, can be deployed for the cost of a single tank. This economic equation is changing the very DNA of military planning.
But here's something even worse, guys. In 2024, Turkey banned India from buying these drones. And guess what? Ironically, India has been exporting drone-making components to Turkey. Yes, you heard that right. According to India Today's intelligence unit, we are exporting aluminium, electronic components, telecom equipment, and even aircraft parts, all of which are eventually used to make Turkish drones. And these drones attacked our borders. But you know what, guys? Just when I thought that this war was all about drones and a madman's dream to revive an empire, I saw this map, and this is where the story gets terrifying. This map is a classic picture of a Cold War in the making. This map has 2 blocks of countries that are all Muslim countries. But now, these Muslim countries are also fighting against other Muslim countries. And here's where it gets scary. These alliances aren't stable at all. They are messy, tangled, and constantly shifting. And as it turns out, even the Muslim world is deeply divided. Saudi Arabia has strong allies like UAE and Egypt, which are countries that go very well with India, Israel, and the US. But on the other side, Turkey has formed its own bloc primarily with Pakistan and Azerbaijan. In fact, they also have ideological support from Qatar and certain politicians from Malaysia. These are religiously motivated nations and they don't fully subscribe to the Western alliance. In fact, when the Pahalgam attacks happened, some politicians from Malaysia and Azerbaijan openly sided with Pakistan. But you know what the good news is? Because of India's strategic diplomacy with both Qatar and Iran, 2 major oil giants in this bloc, both these nations chose not to oppose us directly. And Iran somewhere has a complicated relationship with both these blocs. Now here's where most people would ask, bro, if there's a Cold War happening between 2 blocs somewhere in the Middle East, how does it bother India? Well, this is where you need to pay very close attention to what history tells you. You know, history tells us that whenever blocks of Islamic countries arise on the basis of ideologies, chaos always follows. For example, in Syria, Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Turkey supported different rebel factions while Shia majority Iran backed Assad's regime. And what followed next was an endless war that resulted into one of the bloodiest chapters of world history. Similarly, in Yemen, a Saudi-led coalition fought Iran-backed rebels. And what happened next? Children died, hospitals were destroyed, and there was a famine everywhere. And in Libya, it wasn't even their war. But even then, Turkey and others turned it into a proxy hellhole. So, history tells us that whenever ideological blocs engage in a Cold War, it creates chaos, war, and death. Now, the reason why this is relevant to Kashmir is because if these two blocs escalate on the matter of Kashmir, Kashmir could become the next battlefield for the ideological Cold War. That is why India needs strong diplomatic ties with Saudi Arabia, UAE and even Iran. And this is where Dr. Jaishankar has done a phenomenal job. Because as they say, diplomacy is war without the blood. But when diplomacy dies, the blood always follows. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the story of the betrayal of Turkey, the drone threat and the emerging Cold War in the Middle East. And what we need to remember is that when ideology becomes foreign policy, Cold Wars become civil wars. The Islamic world is now not split by geography but by belief. And history shows us that when those blocks clash, countries burn. Syria saw it, Yemen saw it and Libya saw it. All of them were burned down. So all we can hope for is that the Cold War doesn't escalate, because the last time a Cold War emerged, it ended up breaking nations and killing thousands of innocent people for no reason at all. This is where the delicate needle of geopolitics stands in 2025. And all we can hope for is good things happen and bad things don't. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable from this case study, please hit the like button and please subscribe to our channel if you want to keep learning about business and geopolitical case studies. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.